everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Janet and I have lost over 100 pounds following the ketogenic diet. On my channel you will find a variety of topics from keto meals, keto recipes, what I eat in a day on keto, and some protein sparing modified fast recipes. So make sure that you hit that red subscribe button. We would love for you to join the family here. And for all of my returning subscribers, thank you so much for being here, for all the likes and the comments and sharing my videos. It really does help my channel grow. So welcome back. All right, in today's video, we are going to be making the Hawaiian rolls in a loaf. I have been loving that recipe from Amy over at Carnivore's Angel, and I have been utilizing it a lot with my other recipes that I have made on here. But I thought, you know what, how does this taste as bread slices? And how does it turn out as a loaf? Because I really love the texture and the taste of that recipe. So today I am going to try to make it as a loaf and see how it turns out. I'm not sure. The only thing that I'm concerned about is it not rising a lot, like to make an actual like decent loaf, because the buns kind of do shrink a little bit. So I'm thinking because of the added egg yolks, that's what causes that, and it doesn't allow it to keep its airiness and its volume. But I really am liking it, so I'm gonna try that today because I do need to make some bread for the upcoming week anyways, and I thought that I would give it a try. So I'm going to be making the whole entire recipe. You will follow along with me, and let's try to make this into a loaf. I'm gonna have to be a little bit trial and error with the timings on the oven for the whole entire loaf, but we will definitely probably have it in there longer than the buns. But I will let you know once we get to that point. So let's get started. All right, so I have put my apron on. If anybody is interested in any of my merch, I have the link in the description. As mentioned before, a couple weeks ago, the merch company that I'm working with, unfortunately, is going to be no longer once June comes. So make sure you grab, if you are looking at anything, make sure that you grab it now, because once June comes, I will hopefully be switching over to another company. They just might not have as many options. Not 100% sure, I have not looked into that, but this apron, I must say, is a favorite. I absolutely love it, so make sure that you check that out in the description. All right, let's get started. I'm going to pan you down and we will go over all the ingredients together and see how this turns out. I have preheated my oven to 325, and let's get started on our Hawaiian roll loaf. All right, so I am going to be keeping all of the measurements the same as Amy did in her original recipe. So we are going to be starting off with a half a cup of our egg white protein powder and a third of a cup of allulose, and 2 tablespoons of the nutritional yeast. I get mine off of Amazon. I ordered the biggest container that I could find off of Amazon because I knew that I would be making this bread. This has lasted me a long, long time. I always have it linked in my Amazon favorites below. And then we will need about 1/4 teaspoon of active dry yeast, 1/4 teaspoon of the Redmond's real salt, and this actually in here is 1/2 teaspoon, so I'm going to use 4 of these, and then 1 teaspoon of xanthan gum, and this is 1/2 teaspoon as well that I'm using, so I'm going to use 2 of those. All right, so we are just gonna lightly whisk that together. All right, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate my egg whites from yolks. So we will need 5 yolks, which I'm gonna put in this bowl, and then we will need 1 cup of egg whites. So I will put the whites in here and top it up with carton egg whites if I need to. So I'm just going to do that.
Watch me under the light, so keep me in your sight, 'cause I can do this all night. You can call it what you want, I got something else to
right, so I'm just gonna top it off with the carton egg whites that I get from Costco. And then we're just gonna put our egg yolks aside. And then we are going to add in our egg whites with this mixture and then just give it a light stir with the whisk. All right, then we are just going to put it in our KitchenAid mixer and we are going to put this on high until it is all well combined and stiff peaks occur. And we're just gonna wanna make sure that that is just kind of well combined. I'm gonna take my spatula and mix it a little bit more and we will put it into our loaf pan. All right, so we're just gonna give that a quick stir. And then I have my silicone loaf pan here. I have these in the description as well. I bought the whole set. They are fantastic. I only try to use silicone now. So we are just gonna put this whole thing in our loaf pan. And then, like I said, I think I'm gonna cook it, I'm gonna bake it for 30 minutes to start out with. So I can already tell that this isn't the height that I normally get from my bread recipe. I always have mine linked in the description a little bit further down, but definitely this is, I get more height with my recipe, but this will be kind of like just a little trial to see how it is and how it does as a loaf, all right? All right. There we go. So we are going to put this in a 325-degree oven for about a half an hour. All right, this is it right out of the oven. This really expanded. I cannot believe it. Looks really good. I'm gonna let it cool off and then we will slice into it. This has shrunk down a little bit from when it first came out of the oven, but I'm still really pleased with the size of it. Like, I didn't think that it would be actually a loaf of bread. I thought it would definitely shrink. Let's just slice it and see. I ended up baking it for 30 minutes and then I left it in the oven with the oven turned off for 10 minutes is what I ended up doing. And I think, looks like it was the perfect amount of time. So, it's still a little bit warm. It doesn't feel too wet on the inside, so I think I baked it long enough. So let's just give this a try, just plain, and see how it tastes. All right, so it's still a little bit warm. We are just gonna take the corner and taste it. That's pretty good. So I also wanted to mention that I didn't add any of the orange drops. That's what I was using to make the Hawaiian rolls for the little sweetness. I didn't put that in, I just left it out. But this is really good. I really like it. I really like the added egg yolks to this recipe. I feel like it just gives it so much more of overall best flavor in my opinion. I feel like this is gonna be really good with like ham and cheese and some mayo. All right, I wanna go over how I store my bread. I still get a lot of questions on how I store my bread, and it has been the same for whatever sort of recipe that I make, whether it's buns or the pretzels that I made or croissants or anything, I always store it the same way. So what I do is I take 2 pieces of paper towel, and this is the container that I use. I got it off of Amazon. I believe it might have been from a subscriber actually, but I have it linked down in my Amazon favorites. I put a piece on the bottom, and then it's up to you. I feel like it makes no difference if the bread is unsliced or sliced. That's just my opinion. I feel like it does not make a difference whatsoever. And then I just put my loaf in here, and then I cover it with the other paper towel on top, and then this is an airtight container, and that is how I leave it on the counter. Normally this loaf will probably be gone in about 3 days, but if it is longer than 3 days, then I will put it in my fridge. But like I said, it usually doesn't last that long. So I still get a lot of questions on how I store my bread, and that is how I store absolutely everything. I have a couple containers like this. Actually, I have 2 of them in case I do like a big protein sparing modified fast prep, and I make a lot of things for the whole week. And especially when I make my donuts, I always keep those in the fridge as well, depending if you have them filled or even just with the chocolate icing on top. But for the most part, everything is just left on the counter for about 3 days. So I really like this recipe that Amy created. I think it's absolutely delicious. So really, really good. I think it's definitely gonna be like maybe alternating with my recipe, because I do really still like my recipe. I get a bunch of messages saying how many of you do like my altered recipe from the original, which is Maria Emmerich, who started all of this. But it really helps, especially when you're on keto, or if you're implementing a few days of the protein sparing modified fast on your week. Really makes a difference to have this bread because it is so low in macros. So it definitely helps you keep yourself on track. That is the end of today's video. Make sure that you hit that red subscribe button. Give this video a like to let me know that you're liking my content. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so YouTube can notify you when I upload a new video. Thanks for watching.